Greetings, beloved Princeton United Methodist Church community. It's Pastor Jenny, and I'm reading today from the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 2, and parts of verses 1 and 2. Hannah prayed and said, "My heart exults in the Lord. My strength is exalted in my God. There is no holy one like the Lord, no one besides you. There is no rock like our God." This is the word of life. Thanks be to God. So over this summer, we are entering into our summer lectionary season. And so the lectionary is a prescribed set of readings that is looked to by kind of the ecumenical church, wider than the United Methodist Church. And there's a cycle of readings that happens, and there's always New Testament, like gospel readings, New Testament epistles, an Old Testament reading, and a psalm every week in this. Now, we don't always follow the lectionary. In fact, most of the time we're not. But during the summer, we revert to this set of prescribed readings. But this year, we're focusing on the Old Testament readings, and we've modified it just a little bit. So if some of you follow the lectionary because you read like the Disciplines book, or you're tuned into other kind of online or email devotional things that follow that lectionary. So we are modifyingly following the Old Testament story of the lectionary within the lectionary this summer, and we are looking at the story of David, which is largely found in 1 and 2 Samuel and 1 Kings as well. So I hope that we can just kind of find ourselves in the story and hear the story. Many of us know parts of this story. We might sort of remember who King David is, but we'll have a chance to dig more into his life and story. So we actually start this time with this summer in this series of, it's not a thematic series, but more a story series this summer with Hannah. Hannah is the mother of Samuel, and Samuel is the prophet who raises up David and other kings in this early period in Israeli history. And so Hannah has just given birth to Samuel, and this is something that she'd been longing for. A son had not been able to have any child, much less a son. And so when she is able to she gives birth to Samuel, this is the song, the exaltation, the praise to God, the song of her heart that is recorded in Scripture. Now, of course, we don't know that she really burst into song, or that this could have been a poem or a liturgical element, a song, very much like our hymns that had been passed down and found its way in tradition in Hannah's mouth. It also is very similar. So this comes from 1 Samuel 2. If you wanted to look to Luke 2 and the song of Mary, the song that Mary sings before Jesus is born, but as she is connected with her cousin Elizabeth, Mary bursts into song, into a poem, into a prayer of thanksgiving. And these are very similar to each other. There's lots of connections between these two. So it's kind of fun to put those together. So you're welcome to do that. But I invite us to think too with Hannah. And there is this beautiful tradition of doing this, of having of biblical characters who are moved to songs, to psalms of praise and lament as well. But these poetic moments of Scripture that are expressions, these artistic expressions, these expressions of emotion and something that kind of wells up from within us, that is then comes out not just in prose, but in song or poetry or art, and artistic rendering in some way too. And I wonder, when you've had experiences like this in your life, where something has struck you in a moment or a season, and you've just had had something well up in you, a word or a feeling or an image, an expression of thanksgiving, of exaltation, of hope, of vision. All of these things are included here in Hannah's song, and some of it is, again, about giving God thanks in this moment, but it's also about continuing to name the ways that God is at work and will continue to work, and seeing beyond this moment into the faithfulness of God beyond that moment, that all our moments are connected, and all of them are infused with God and God's life and God's love and God's presence and God's beauty. I wonder when you've had moments like that. For a few of us, I imagine, some of us, but for unless you're a songwriter, I don't think I've ever sat and just burst into song, right? But sometimes songs occur to me. Songs that I already know or familiar to me find their way into my voice or into my heart. Sometimes it is that I just am struck in a moment. Maybe I don't even have words, but I have a sensation or an experience of this gratitude, this power, this hope that rises up within me. Sometimes it does come out through art or through color or through image in various ways. And on occasion, I don't find that I have a practice of writing poetry, but on occasion, there have been ways that prose or poetry has come out too. Now, all of us do these things in different ways, but I wonder how that has happened. And if you can kind of recall or maybe even take a moment to, as we talked about on Sunday, go discover the gifts that are so abundant from God all around us, and that come in these juicy little packages like wild strawberries or wild raspberries are all out here in New Jersey right now. These little gifts that are also big, precious gifts that sometimes we overlook, but also sometimes are big and known and overwhelming too. So many options, so many ways that God's presence and abundance comes to us. So may we be inspired by Hannah in our week this week, and as we anticipate, Pastor Taylor is preaching this Sunday, and she particularly loves preaching on the Psalms, and this is a psalm, not in the book of Psalms, but in a different place. So she's excited to be preaching this week. I will be there and part of the worship service too, and look forward to seeing you, of course, then. A reminder too that we are in our nominations process, so this is kind of the last week for you. If you have ideas about people who you would like to see in leadership on our leadership board or our discipleship board or our nominations and lay leadership team, then we would love to hear from you. You can self-nominate, you can nominate others, you don't have to get their permission to do that. They will, this goes through a nominations process within our nominations and lay leadership team, so that ask will come from them if that is discerned that they who we ask to be on these boards. But we want to hear from you. We want to hear your ideas and your reasons for those ideas of who you would like to see in ministry among us, lay leadership ministry among us. So we continue to be in our life together. And one of the things that I want to invite you to throughout this summer is that summer is very much, it's a different rhythm for those of us in leadership and on staff. There's a lot of planning that happens through the summer. During the summer, we're doing we're laying all the foundation work for our program year. We're doing worship theme planning. We're doing calendaring. We're getting ready to gear up for new small groups, growth groups, seasonal groups in the fall. We're doing some discernment work right now around our hands-on mission, our justice and mercy ministry, and a reinvigoration of that in the life of our congregation too. So I would ask you to be in prayer for our church, for our leaders, for one another, that God may continue to inspire and open up the possibilities and the ways that we can continue to live into the vision and mission that God has given to us, that we might continue to grow into a flourishing, vital congregation, even more than we already are. The ways that God is working in us, we just want to keep tapping into that and honoring and responding to those invitations and the grace that God is offering to us. So we covet your prayers, we covet your participation, and we look even forward now. It's still a couple months away, but September 8th will be our kickoff Sunday as we gear up for all that fall programming and things that we are preparing for you right now. So please join us. Even if you're not in the room with us, you can still join us through participation in these nominations processes and prayers and sharing with us some of the ways you're sensing God's calling us as well. It is always a joy to be in ministry with you, to be on this journey with you. Remember that you were created for joy, that you are enough because God is enough, and I will see you very soon. Blessings on your day and on your week.